Gideon's breeding rights. Shan's bedroom had a door that led into a brick wall and another that dead-ended at the foot of a stairwell. It was what I called a dungeon for horny Polish boys. In truth, this silo called Eden went all the way into the foundation of the McKeon house, and the doorways in Shan's bedroom had been bricked off when the Eden Project work crews finished construction on Dr. Grady McKeon's subterranean shelter. Just as those McKeon Industries scientists back in the 1960s had been playing with self-sustaining universes they trapped inside globes of glass, the bigger enclosed bubble project they'd been working on lay beneath the ground under Shan's bedroom and stretched beyond the derelict cornfields on Dr. Grady McKeon's own property. Here is what we found. Eden had a gymnasium, a fitness center with polished wood floors and weightlifting equipment, a sauna, and another shower room. There was a small facility for laundry that put the Ealing Coinwash Laundrette to shame in terms of its cleanliness and lack of discarded condoms and cigarette butts on the floor. There was even a salon with those old-fashioned hair dryers that looked like brainwashing torture machines from the science fiction movies, barber chairs, and hair-cutting tools. Shan looked at her hair in the mirror. As always, it was beautiful. The color of mature wheat in late August. Her skin was perfect and unblemished. I said, would you like us to do something with your hair? Do either of you guys know anything about hairstyles? Robbie continued our string of unanswered questions with, why are you both looking at me? Do you think it's just natural that I'd be, into hair and shit? Later we found Eden's dormitories. Naturally, I was incapable of wandering through the bedrooms with Shan and Robbie without feeling horny and guilty. I wondered if there had ever been threesomes inside Shan's silo. Each room had 2 double beds. They looked, in style, like hotel rooms, except they lacked bathrooms and toilets, which were all located in the center of a hub of hallways that connected the fitness center and the lecture hall and entry room where we had changed out of our Iowa surface dweller clothing. There wasn't much room for argument in the discussion we had as we explored the bedrooms. Eden was built to house survivors for the end of the world. We could say the idea was to protect a few human specimens in the event of nuclear war, but Robbie and I knew Eden was probably built for something else entirely. The idea that Robbie and Shan and I were inside some kind of breeding compound for the genesis of an entire new species of humans was particularly thrilling and attractive. If we never came out of Eden, the 3 of us would be able to start an entire new race of underground Iowans, I said. Robbie said, unenthusiastically. Well, if we had to, I offered, between you, me, and Shan, we'd have enough genetic diversity to not breed 2-headed boys and shit like that. I was somehow working on a long-range threesome strategy. Robbie repeated. Shan said, I bet that's what Grady McKeon had in mind with the whole idea of Eden, starting everything over. Everyone who eventually came out would just end up doing the same stupid shit that always happened up there, I said, pointing my thumb at the world above us. We should leave a copy of Porcupine's History of the World down here, just to save mankind the trouble, Robbie said. That would be a good strategy, I said. When do you 2 suppose we might start working on the new species? Shan rolled her eyes and pushed my chest. I liked that. She also changed the subject. There must be books or stuff like that down here, Shan said. Robbie jumped on one of the beds like it was a trampoline. He said we should all do that, so Shan and I joined him. It was fun. We made a mess of the room. It was ours, anyway. Nobody could stop us. I pulled out my little medal of St. Casimir's and looked at him and thought about how difficult the boy saint's life must have been. I hopped down onto the floor. I pulled open the drawers on the nightstands at the head of the double bed Shan and Robbie were jumping on. There was a Gideon's Bible inside, but naturally, there would be no condoms in Eden. Every room had a Gideon's Bible in it. Grady McKeon must have worked some kind of deal with those Gideon people. Maybe he promised to let them leave some sperm down here besides just a bunch of Bibles, I thought. We had no idea of the time when we were down in Eden. We also had no idea what was beginning to happen up above us in Ealing. Nobody did. The Queen of the Universe. We found Eden's library at exactly the same time the Hoover boys and Grant Wallace found Eileen Pope and Hungry Jack in the alley of Grasshopper Jungle. Now Eileen was very busy. She was getting filled up with the seeds of a new apex species for planet Earth. She was happy. Eileen was the queen of the new universe. But she was hungry too. While Devin Stoddard, the same Hoover boy who had kneed me in the balls the Friday before, was now a lumbering 6-foot-tall mantis beast, pumped future generations of little Devin bugs into Eileen Pope's swelling abdomen, she pivoted her thoracic midsection around clockwise and clamped Devin's head in the toothy mace of her grasping arms. Devin Stoddard did not resist. He pumped and pumped and pumped. Devin Stoddard continued pumping semen into Eileen even after she'd eaten his entire head. Eileen Pope was doing the two things bugs like to do. The other bugs watched and waited. They wanted more turns on Eileen Pope, even if she was still hungry after eating Devin Stoddard. When Eileen Pope finished eating, the only thing left of Devin Stoddard were the gooey smears across the floral sofa in Grasshopper Jungle. And at that exact moment, we found Eden's library, and Eileen Pope was crunching her way through Devin Stoddard's exoskeleton to get to the slick and nourishing goodness inside her mate, Johnny McKeon. Inside her mate. Okay. And at the exact moment we found Eden's library, and Eileen Pope was crunching her way through Devin Stoddard's exoskeleton to get to the slick and nourishing goodness inside her mate, Johnny McKeon was locking up from attic to cellar consignment store for the night. Johnny decided to take a box of garbage out to the dumpster in the alley of Grasshopper Jungle. It was not a good idea. The library and the new tally-ho. History shows that an examination of the personal collection of titles in any man's library will provide something of a glimpse into his soul. Such was the case of Dr. Grady McKeon's library beneath the ground. Here was Dr. Grady McKeon's collection of books. There was a wall of novels, and every one of the novels in Dr. Grady McKeon's library was an American work. Also, every novel had been written by a man. Before going down into Eden, I never knew that American men had written so many books and shit. The men who wrote the books in Dr. Grady McKeon's library weren't just guys. They were monuments. Names like Melville, Hawthorne, Twain, Fitzgerald, Faulkner, Dresner, and on and on. The most recent novel, if you could call it that, was The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. There was not a copy of The Chocolate War, however, but that stood to reason. Another wall in Dr. Grady McKeon's library was filled with books on all kinds of scientific subjects: botany, evolution, taxonomy, genetics, and reproduction. The books on reproduction caught my eye. They were very old and conservatively worded, however. The most wonderful feature of Dr. McGrady McKeon's library were the rows of desks, each of which had been furnished with supplies for writing and drawing. It was meant to be that Eden would have its historian. "This is meant to be," I said. I sat down at one of the desks and looked through the assortment of pens and empty leather-bound log books. I felt around with my feet at the carpeting beneath where I sat. It was difficult for me to adequately concentrate on writing without Ingrid sighing underneath my toes. So I said, "What am I going to do, Shan?" Shan said, "I don't know, Austin." Shan was smart. She knew I was troubled about things. She always let me have room. In some ways, Shan was like Ingrid. "This is where I will write the history of the end of the world," I said. Shan said, Then I picked up some thick, permanent markers and opened their caps. Naturally, I smelled them. I do not know why, because that is not my job, but history shows that every time a teenage boy opens a permanent marker, he will first sniff it before deciding how to go about defacing the planet. That is what I did. On the empty wall above the desk where I sat, I drew a big, hairy thing. A bison. In as close a likeness as I could manage to the figure that had been drawn so many centuries before on the wall of a cave in a place called Altamira. Maybe it was my great times 1,000th grandfather, who'd drawn the Altamira bison. It would have been back then the world was like this, messed up and poisonous, and a few scared and confused specimens found their way inside a cave called Altamira. It may have well have been called a silo. It may have well have been a silo called Eden. They would have gone down in that cave to start things over again. Perhaps my great times 1000 grandfather also smoked cigarettes and wore a medallion of a virgin Polish saint around his neck. He would have experimented, too. Maybe he was also confused about the people he was in love with and whether or not there was something wrong with him for frequently finding himself sexually attracted to the guy he grew up with. You know what I mean. Thinking about being inside a cave with Robbie and Shan made me feel very horny. Robbie said, "Nice cow, Austin." "It's a bison," I pointed out. "Oh," he said, and added, "Nice buff, porcupine." Robbie and Shan were great friends, true friends. They both allowed me the space that I needed. While I wrote the history of our day inside Eden, Shan and Robbie sat and waited quietly. There was still much of the silo we had to explore, so I rushed and abbreviated. And when I was satisfied that I had gotten down to the important details of a discovery, I tucked the logbook under my arm and led the way out of the library and deeper into the mysteries of Dr. Grady McKeon's sealed-in universe. Just across the hallway from Eden's library was a bar. An actual bar, inside a compound designed to resurrect mankind. Robbie said, "I christen this the new Tally-Ho." "Eden 5 needs a gay bar," Shan said. "Everywhere needs gay bars, Shan," I pointed out. This was true. We went inside the new Tally-Ho. In the same way, the Eden no coins required laundrette put to shame the dirty laundry joint at Grasshopper Jungle. The new Tally-Ho was immeasurably more luxurious than Waterloo, Iowa's one and only gay bar. There was built-in wine coolers and every kind of liquor I had ever heard of in life, and some others that I had not. There was a bottle of something called Krupnik, which came from Poland. Once again, all roads crossed where I stood. The new Tally-Ho was impressively furnished, with a wide mahogany serving bar and floor-to-ceiling mirror behind racks of immaculately arranged bottles and crystalware. There was a pool table with a perfect felt surface. It sat in the middle of the floor with plenty of space around for proper play. A dart board hung on one wall. The chalkboard beside it still recorded a match from 4 decades back when someone named Doc and another player named Virgil. Doc apparently was not such a good dart player. We killed this big hairy thing. We played darts, and that was our day. None of us was in the mood to try drinking alcohol. Drinking was reckless, and it made us unconcerned about doing stupid shit. I said, "Let's not get drunk, Robbie." We agreed to save the experiment for some other time. Robbie knew what I meant. After our trip through the bar, we found a medical clinic that looked like it was equipped to do surgery. "Lots of drugs in here," Shan said. "An entire navy of kayaks," I added. Eden was built like a starfish. Its arms radiated outward from the room we called the lecture hall, which was just beyond the mud room and lockers and showers where Dr. Grady McKeon had somehow managed to install a salvaged antique nightingale urinal. At the end of the arm that housed the medical clinic, there was a full-sized bowling alley with 2 complete lanes and a rack of balls and shoes, all of which had been personalized with the names of their owners. Seeing those relics, as well as the scoreboard that had been kept for darts in the bar, made me suddenly aware that all the first people who had been down inside Eden were most likely dead. "This is kind of creepy," Shan said. She stared at the swirling pink bowling ball with dainty finger holes and gold etched named into it that said Wanda May. Wanda May was the first Queen of Eden. She was fertile, left-handed, and enjoyed having sex with multiple partners in Eden. Wanda May also liked to bowl. People in Iowa like to bowl. Robbie said, "Bowling creeps me out too, Shan, except for the fact that it's the only sport that encourages its participants to smoke cigarettes." I wanted a cigarette. I tapped Robbie's shoulder. I did not have to say anything to him. Robbie Breeze always knew what I was thinking, even when I was thinking about something other than smoking. We lit cigarettes and backtracked to the final unexplored arm of the place called Eden. And there we found the most important treasure the silo had yet to offer up. Eden's movie theater. I will tell you. Okay. Night.